right now. Oh, actually, no map intro because we already played it.
Literally right now.
I did not lie this time.
Down in the bottom left-hand corner, spawning as the red Protoss from China, Invictus Gaming's Jim.
Just dropped his very, very first map of the entire tournament so far. Of course, all of the players in the round of 16 have already picked up $2,000, so that's not bad. But of course, if you want to win this tournament, because then you can add another 0 to the 2,000, and that's a lot better, Sean.
The more zeros, the better, as in the case with all baller activities. Pro gaming, bowling.
Are zeros good in bowling? I don't think so. I have a lot of zeros in bowling. I guess if you get them.
Well, if you go from a 30 to a 300, then
yeah,
you're quite happy with that extra 0. Look, guys, it's CM Storm's Polt.
Very handsome man, our Texas Ranger. Representing USA when we need it the most.
Really exciting to have an American player here in round of 16.
Definitely. We see the refinery going down for Polt, so Polt's going to switch it up a little bit. Last map he went for the command center first, in case you guys missed it or just tuned in. If you did, you missed something we don't see very often, and that is Jim dropping a map. No, I don't think we need to panic yet. I don't think there's a man overboard. It was a map, okay, it's nice to know that Jim is a human being as well, and it's also nice to know that Polt is still an absolute beast. Of course, you could say Polt had a little bit of an advantage going into this group, only having to practice one matchup, because there are 3 Protoss players in this group, but often Terran players find it annoying as well, because that's like, hey, if I play my first series, they're going to see my build against Protoss, and I'm going to need to prepare a lot of different builds, otherwise I'm going to be too predictable. How did you feel about that, Sean, when you were a competitive player in your days? Did you like it when you only had to prepare one matchup, or did you find like, it's hard to switch up my style all the time?
I was a big fan of, well, especially in WCG America, where there were no Protosses and it was almost only Terran players. It was great. You only really had to focus on one matchup, but the maps I think were the huge thing. That the maps were so different and favored such wildly different play styles. You actually did get the opportunity to prepare 4 completely unique builds for the 4 different maps, and honestly, as we're seeing from Polt, stable beats cute most days of the week. So, I mean, I do like just the more straightforward play. I mean, Polt has only had this one matchup to practice against. And we've seen, for instance, this technique used in almost every single one of his games. I mean, in Polt's shoes also, there's some more sophisticated reads that you can make on a map like this, where you can say, okay, if I'm blocking his natural expansion, most of the time he's actually going to try to respond with some sort of 4-gate blink all-in up in my high ground. So you can sort of preemptively prepare for that.
Very cute opening so far from both players. Of course, Polt being really effective there, already picking up 2 probes. The second probe was a little bit sloppy by Jim. What I liked a lot was that Polt decided to go for that engineering block play, because we saw in game number 1 Jim skipping the Zealot. This time, however, Jim showing us that he has 6 Jim cents perhaps, and he decided to make the Zealot, and that was actually very important, because if he didn't make that Zealot, he wouldn't have any DPS to deal with the engineering bay. And also shout out to Polt for the way that he microed his little SCV around that engineering bay. So both players playing very cute in the opening phase. Jim making the correct call, and Polt executing everything well that he was doing.
Now this is weird. We're seeing a 3rd Stalker produced very, very quickly out of Jim. He will be able to... Oh wait, was it cancelled? Where is Stalker 3? Wow, it was cancelled at the last second, so now Polt's Reaper is actually going to get quite a lot of damage. And oh no, Jim's just chilling in the main with a Mothership Core! Jim! No! Jim! Oh god, is it going to be the... the recall to get on out of there? I mean...
Jim looking a little sloppy so far, Sean. What is happening?
Looks like we're seeing
what's happening to the
meltdown.
god of Protoss?
Well, now Jim's actually getting a starport, and that is a late starport. I mean, it's about a full minute later than it ordinarily would be. Polt doing the same build that we saw him do against Alicia. Going for that Reaper opening, transitioning straight into 3 barracks, and going for the Swift Marauder Concussive Shell. Ooh, we're going to see an attacking Polt.
So now we're going to see how good Photon overcharges once more and how greedy Jim is. Like, if he decides to go for target play, I actually think going Phoenix on this map is pretty good, because that of course makes your life a lot easier in dealing with drops in a certain phase of the game, because then once the medevacs commit, if they fly in, they're going to die as long as the Protoss doesn't miscontrol his units. We might see an Oracle first though, and that's of course what Jim is going for as well, as we can see. But I do think he's going to follow it up with Phoenixes, if he can afford it, because he's already dropping the robots, so maybe he's not.
Yeah, I mean, well Polt's doing a really, really slick move. He saw the recall, so there's no way that there's going to be a photon overcharge until 8 minutes. So actually more like 8:30. So he's just going to get concussive shell first and begin a much earlier attack before rallying everything back. And this sort of push is going to be fantastic. He knows he's up against largely stalkers, a weak mothership core. I mean, this is such high-level play from
Jim, you're going to need that Oracle at home. Of course, Oracles can be very good against Marines if they can actually just sit there and fire away. Warp Gate technology is not ready yet. Photon Overcharge is almost ready. He cannot afford to lose the mothership core, though.
Uh-oh. Oh, mothership core is pulling away, and it looks like the probes. Oh, God. And 99, and there's the 100. Does it even matter? I mean, Polt's just target firing probes.
Polt can just run up the ramp right now. He doesn't even have to deal with his little army with the Photon Overcharge. He should just run up the ramp. That's exactly what he's going to do.
The Oracle, the natural expansion, is starting to pick off a decent number of workers, already at 4. In the main base, we see, oh God, a critical pylon goes down, and Jim suddenly on the ropes, even with this Oracle, dealing a lot of pain up in the main base for Polt.
How much energy is there left on this Oracle? Probably not too much anymore now. Actually, the Oracle is pretty much out of energy, while Polt is just still hammering away, killing more and more pros. Polt has killed a ridiculous amount of workers, 26 combined of the natural and main base. That's absolutely insane. That's game-ending damage.
Jeez.
I couldn't have said it any better than you said, Sean. Polt just so smart, realizing that, all right, I dropped 3 racks early on, I can do something with this. Then that mothership core, leaving it over here, he wasn't really forced to recall it, in my opinion. I think he could have just sent it back, but on a certain point, Jim is like, I don't want to have to worry about it anymore, I'll just recall it home, then I'll be fine. And Jim just throughout the entire game, losing a few probes too many in the start, and losing a few more to the Reaper, then not having Photon Overcharge. It was a 10, 15, 20-second window that Polt had, but man, Polt destroyed that window. He jumped through it. That was not bulletproof, I guess.
Wow. Now, I mean, the real question is, when you've been battered down that much in Jim's shoes, a lot of players will throw probes back into gas pretty quickly. Because, you know, if you lose a lot of probes, certainly your mineral income, no matter what, is going to fall behind. But it's very easy to resaturate gas and at least go toe-to-toe there. But we see Jim going for Phoenix Colossus. I mean, what are your thoughts on this as a sort of follow-up play?
I don't think it truly matters what he does from this position. He has to do something. There's no way he can like still transition into Twilight build because he doesn't have the minerals saved up to drop down 3, 4, 5, 6 gateways, then get a Twilight cancel, then get charged or even upgrades. So I guess this is pretty much the only choice he had because he already had the infrastructure to continue with this, but it's going to be very hard. We can already see a second starport going down for Polt as well. Polt is playing like a man on fire. Polt is doing everything right. He's going to lose a few more Marines, but he will be able to pick up this Oracle. He's up 26 supply. It's Polt's game to lose. Polt is on the verge right now, just making it into the round of 8. And that is the first time in his WCS career, as last season Polt perhaps surprisingly lost in the 3-man Terran group when Violet was not able to make it, where he was with Alive and Tasia.
Well, I mean, we're seeing Jim. He's going to be able to repel this a little bit. There's the complete no reveal yet, so this is kind of a nice little opportunity for Jim to be sneaky. As looks like 5 Phoenixes kind of hanging out at the backside, making Phoenix number 6. I mean, has range gone down? It looks like no, not at all for Jim. He is going to stay on the low-range Colossus.
He just doesn't really have the money for it, I guess, or the gas count. He's going to start Thermal Lancer right now. I mean, the only thing you can hope for is that Polt takes a couple of really silly fights and that eventually Jim is able to stabilize on 3 bases. But this is Polt we're talking about. Taking silly fights is not one of the things he normally does.
Yeah. You're going to have to force some magic to happen if you are in Jim's shoes. But Phoenixes are very nice because they do force engagements. They're very, very fast. It's extremely difficult to run away. We see the Observer up in mid is no longer an Observer up in mid. A single scan from Polt picks it off. Just parking outside the front with this huge force, and I think that Polt might just try to go for it.
There are not too many sentries. One of them has to go down as well. There is Photon Overcharge. There are a lot of Phoenixes over here as well. Yes, he has 2, 4, 6, 7.
He has a lot of Phoenixes.
And he's producing an 8th Phoenix. I mean, I feel that Polt is sort of aware of it because he's producing 3 Vikings at a time. I'm not sure with what he saw it.
I mean, the real issue is that Polt's a real monster in these mid-game fights. He's just going to target fire the Colossus and take those down, and then it's just going to be some bio versus completely unupgraded ground units. So I think Jim has to take this fight now and reduce that bioforce. But God, look at Polt just like streaming in with so much stuff. Yeesh.
How many Vikings do we have? We have 8 Vikings. Will 8 Phoenix be able to take down those Vikings before both Colossus die? It's going to be very rough, but maybe with 9 Phoenix and 3 Colossus, you know, if there is a small chance for Jim, this might be it, Sean. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but this is probably his best shot he's going to get.
He's moving in. He's instantly target firing the Vikings. It looks like from below, the Marauders waltz in. 2 of those Colossus fall in a matter of seconds. There are a pretty high number of Zealots in the middle of all this, but I mean, the Marine count is so high, ripping everything down, and now all of a sudden Jim's just going to have to rely on these lifts to pick these off. The Marauders are going to stay alive. GG, Polt.